Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me. I want to talk about the current energies right now because they're really, really intense. And we're coming up on this 1111 portal. I was just going to do an 1111 reading, but I want to talk about what's going on right now in case any of you are experiencing it the way I am. And I may or may not get into cards depending on how long I spend just kind of talking about this. But so it's like, we're coming up on 1111, which of course is, kind of that like portal, that portal energy. And, I don't know if you were like this when you were little, if this is something that like we heard somewhere, if it's just something that like I heard internally, but it was always like 1111 make a wish. So whenever I would see 1111, it was like this make this wish energy, which is very much what the energy is. It's like this portal, this gateway into something completely new. And that's what I was reflecting on the energy, over the last like decade. I don't remember much before that, but it's like many of the years I can recall something very specific happening where I would maybe like meet someone. Like the one year there was a man that had just come to town that knew like fascia release, and so we were doing trades and he was teaching me how to heal my body because I had all this like fascia issue, and I ended up like clearing all this like really deep stuff with like different characters in my lives, and it was just like life changing. It changed everything. And then another year it was something else, and but it's always kind of this like this threshold moment where crossing like through this gateway into something completely different, like a completely different terrain. Okay. However, on those thresholds is sort of like it's a threshold, right? We have to cross through like a fear, like a fear program, a fear threshold. So that's what I'm feeling right now. So we had all this geomagnetic activity. We had those CMEs that came in off the sun. And so, if you were seeing those photos of all those gorgeous auroras, like all over the world in places that they're not normally, and reds and all these gorgeous colors, there's just all this like new information, new frequencies, new information coming in off of our sun and through the cosmos and through, other people are talking about this time in other ways where we're just kind of being like, there's an influx of energy right now that's hitting our emotional body, it's hitting our mental body, it's hitting the magnetics of this planet, it's hitting our physical body, it's hitting our DNA, and it's like right now is so potent. So it's like we're coming off of the eclipses and we're coming in, again into this gateway, and we're having all this like assistance is how I'm feeling it, this assistance. And so Saturday I woke up. And I know that there are some people talking about something really big going on. It was basically this interview. I think her name was Nancy Rebecca. And then she was being interviewed or having a talk with Pam Gregory, the astrologer. Okay, so this woman is really connected to the Syrian star system and the blue light. So she's clairvoyant and she sees, she just sees things, okay, and she has communication with these beings. I also have a really strong connection to the Syrians, and they were like the first galactics that kind of came to me, not in the way they came to Nancy. For me, it's more like energy and synchronicity and just, like intuition and stuff like that. But it's like they're really, really near and dear to me. It feels like home to me. It's all that like dolphin, whale, mermaid, divine feminine energy that just really came and kind of reminded me of like who I am and why I'm here, and part of why I call this channel Lineage of the Blue Rose. Okay, so anyway, she was talking about this influx of blue light energy. If you're interested in hearing more about that, you could look up Pam Gregory and find that interview about the blue light beings. But so there was like this huge influx that came in on the 4th. And so that's like when things kind of shifted for me. Like I woke up in the morning and I just felt like, actually, I felt like really kind of awful. I felt really vulnerable, and I just felt kind of anxious and just like weird. And I had been feeling like really clear and really, sort of like in that higher frequency consistently for about 3 weeks, which is a long time to be like steady and integrated. And so I just felt this like kind of dip, and I knew, because she said not the last time, but one of the times this influx happened before was in November 19th of 2019. So it was like right before the pandemic started, so it does have this energy of like when this light comes in, it kind of kicks stuff up, and it creates disturbances in the field, but that are necessary. It's like, just there's like a ripple of like rearranging of things and things bubbling up. I just hit these two cards off the deck, so I wanted to see what they were. It was the Magician and the Three of Wands. Okay, so like being on the right track and things happening to kind of like to create a forward movement, magical things happening to create a forward movement. Okay, so that's kind of what I was just saying. I wasn't sure if I was gonna do cards, but I love how these were like, hey, let's bring some cards in here. Yeah, so just kind of validating what I was saying. It's like it's kind of like this higher energy, this magical energy to move things forward, but it doesn't always feel good. Okay, so woke up feeling weird on Saturday, and then I remembered about this, and I was like, oh, okay, so this is kind of like my personal version, of like stuff just getting kicked up. But what my daughter said, and I really liked this. I don't know if these are the exact words that she said, but it kind of made me feel this way, like where it's like, if you like the street signs have changed, or the streets have changed, like where like you always got home and you knew how to get around in your town, and you took this road to this road, and all of a sudden they're all different, and you're like, how do I don't know where I am, like I don't know, I know I'm in the same town, but I don't know how to get anywhere anymore. It's like the physics are different, or gravity's different or something, where you just feel really weird. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because this kind of stuff happens all the time, especially right now. Sorry, my nose is really itchy. It's like, we're having these energies and these things coming in, and this assistance, and it really is changing our bodies. It's changing our the magnetics, so it's changing our emotions, it's changing our minds, and it can really make you feel like you're going crazy. And it's just happening more and more. And right now I feel like we're just in such an intense period of that. And so, I think, it's like we're all being activated, and we're all being activated to the level and the degree that we can handle in this stage that we're handling. But, it's like there are common themes of like purging and things being kicked up. But if we don't understand what's happening as this increases and intensifies, we can really feel like we're going crazy. We can feel like we're growing crazy. We can feel really unsteady and unstable and destabilized. And it's like you can't pin it down. You can't, because again, the road signs are different. So you're like, well, I can just go here and get this thing that I need, but it doesn't connect to that anymore. So it's like we're figuring out an entirely new terrain, okay? And it's like you can't really go backwards. It just doesn't work. So that's the thing. If you're trying to go backwards, if you're trying to like go back to what was, to figure out this, what's actually a forward movement, what's actually like, yeah, a forward movement, like a moving through a threshold, like moving into more magic in your life, you're gonna stay prolonged in the uncomfortability for longer. And I did this almost 2 years ago. It was like a little under 2 years ago. I was having these huge activations, and I was so uncomfy because it was literally like I would wake up in the morning and like I'd feel like I was shaking, or like I'd see like fractals, I'd look at like lights at night and my eyes would fractal, like I thought I was having a stroke. I was having all these heart palpitations. I thought I was dying, and I was terrified. And meanwhile, I was having all these dreams and having all this synchronicity that kept telling me that I was being activated, and that this was like, that it was really good, and to just focus on gratitude. But it was really hard for me to do that because I was scared. And it took me, and then I had these like night terrors and all this anxiety, and I was stuck in that. Not for like super long, but much longer than you'd want to be. It was like 6 weeks of like insomnia and night terrors, okay? And, psychic attack and all this stuff. And so finally, I was like, okay, look, I can't handle this anymore. So either I need to take the risk and trust and affirm to myself that this is all for the highest good, and that I am being activated, and that if I just feel gratitude and I surrender and I ground and I just calm the fuck down, that it's going to integrate faster, or I'm just like literally going to die. It was like, anyway, I just chose to do that. I chose to listen to my intuition. I chose to just like, every time I had a fear thought, to turn it around into gratitude, and to turn it around into affirming that I was aligning with this higher timeline, and that I was like clearing off the density. I was activating more of my psychic abilities, my DNA, activating more of my DNA, all these things. I just affirmed what I actually believed and knew to be true. And then the symptoms subsided and I integrated. It was like magic. And the reason why I took the risk to do that, the reason why I made that jump, was because I would have like these horrible nights where I would feel like I was dying, and I was, just like wasn't sleeping and under psychic attack. And I'd look in the mirror in the morning and I would look like 10 years younger, where I was like, oh my God, like something's happening here, to have all this energy, and like all day long I'd be having all this clarity, and I'd be all blissed out, and then, come nighttime it would happen again. So I learned through experience, that it wasn't, or through observation, that it wasn't a bad thing, and that I could just trust it and go with it. Okay, so I have some experience with this, okay? And if you've gone through this or you're going through it already, then you know what I mean. But it's like I'm feeling that same, not the same kind of energies, not so much with the body stuff, but that same kind of threshold energy where I'm feeling really unsteady again and kind of like some anxiety. And so that happened on Saturday. And then Sunday, I was all blissed out. It was the same thing. It's like I was having all these like downloads, and it was almost like a door opened that was closed, and I could see through this perspective. It's like I could see into this doorway, into the future, or into the energetics of the future that I couldn't see before. And it was really exciting. And so it was like a new view. So it really matched the energy of what Erame had said, even though I don't know if this is how she said it, about like, you know, the streets are different. It's like I had entered into like a different thing, and all of a sudden I had to like apply that new view to everything. So it changed everything. Now, I think this kind of thing has gone on many times before, but it's like I just wasn't able to track it. I wasn't able to track it, and I wasn't able, and my perception wasn't fine-tuned enough to understand what it was. So this is why I wanted to share this, because I am at this point where I'm understanding it now. So I want to share in case it's supportive, where it's like when you feel that instability and you kind of feel like you don't know where you are, it can kick up the mental body and the emotional body, right? Like where we're, you know, we want to pathologize something. We want to like, and I remember feeling this way actually when I was younger. I had a lot of anxiety, and I always wanted to like, oh, it's because of this, or oh, it's because of that, or oh, it's because of this. And then I realized I always felt it like right as the sun was going down. So then I was like, it's just an energy thing. It's just an energy thing, and I can just kind of breathe through it. But eventually the anxiety went away. So, but now when it comes back, it's like I'm kind of remembering that kind of thing. Like it's not about like anything. It's just the energy. It's just the energy, right? It's the energy of that. Okay. So, however, you know, so yeah, Sunday was like that, and then Sunday night I couldn't sleep. Like I was awake for like 4 or 5 hours, and I knew I was integrating, I knew I was downloading, I knew I was like upgrading and all that, because it was just like whoa, whoa, you know, like just like I just felt like a sponge to all the energies, and I'd sleep in like 15-second intervals where like I'd fall asleep, and which is what I was doing when I was going through my psychic attack stuff and the night terrors before when I had insomnia. But these weren't scary. They weren't scary at all. They were like messages. Like I'd fall asleep 15 seconds and I'd wake up and have a dream snippet, and I'd be like, okay, I know what that was. And, you know, or like, I don't know what that was, but I got it, you know, and then that went on, you know, like all night long, and most of the time I was just like laying there kind of tossing and turning and like, you know, just kind of like, I don't know, I got inspired to like, you know, astrally connect with like all these people in my life and like, you know, just have conversations and like, yeah, so it was kind of a big night. And then Monday, you know, I was really tired, and so that was last night actually. So I got home, I got back to my place and where I am during the week, and I went to bed really early because I was tired. I know this is a lot of details, but it's like yeah. Anyway, just bear with me. And so last night was like total psychic attack. It was that kind of energy again, where I was sleeping for longer stretches. I was sleeping in like, you know, hour-long increments, but then I'd wake up. But I'd wake up to like my son. He's 20, but he came to me in as like a little boy, and he was like, Mama, you know, he was like, something had happened to him, something bad had happened to him, and I woke up. And then I had another one where my daughter, she's 16, my daughter was like, oh my God, you know, just like really upset and distraught. So I woke up to that, and then I woke up to this like weird kind of like skeletal lady, witchy lady, and she was like, I was on a bus, and she was like crawling over the seat of the bus and like, you know, slinking down towards me. And I woke up and was just like, okay, you know, and did some clearing and just kind of like, you know, worked with the energy. But it's like I couldn't get the energy to go away, and I knew that was the threshold. I knew it was like a fear threshold because I had fear coming up. It was like, you know, obviously from my subconscious, it was my own kind of fear and worries. But then when you're in that fear and worry space, you know, the lower density energies, you know, they come around because they can feed off that. They're always feeding off our lower emotions. We just don't know it. But, you know, when you're in that state, when you're really in that vulnerable threshold state, it's like you're already kind of in between worlds. You're already kind of in between. So in that astral space, it's like there's everything there. You know, there's all those, you know, lower energies as well. So you can really feel them. So this is where I really had to tell myself again, like it's just, so what was I just saying? I was just saying something about how the energy, like that's just how the energy feels. I can't remember what I was saying, but it relates to what I'm going to say right now, where it was like, even though that darker, creepy, like night terror type of energy doesn't feel good, you know, it's like, it's kind of just, it's kind of just it's just the way that frequency feels. It's a way. It's the. I almost stopped the video because I was like, I'm not getting this out. But it's like, Wendy, just keep going, because you might get this out. But it's just the way the frequency feels. And so even though it feels creepy and it feels scary and it shows you scary things, it's because the reason why this is important is because it happens on those fear thresholds. And a lot of us won't go through those fear thresholds because they're fucking scary. So then we stay less expanded than we could. We stay stuck in a way. And maybe we're okay with that. Maybe we choose that because, we get a little bit close to that threshold and we start to feel that tremble, and we start to feel the tremble within ourselves, and we start to attract in these energies that are really creepy to us, and we just want to back away from that ledge. This is why I'm bringing this up. We want to back away from that ledge. We want to turn around. We want to stay safe. But the thing is that we could do that for a long time up to this point, but we're getting to the point for humanity where it's like we can't do that anymore. We can't back away. We have to go through. So what I wanted to talk about today, the reason why I'm talking about this is to just offer support for like going through those thresholds, because when we go through them, it's kind of like I did a mini version of this on Saturday when I was like, I feel weird and I feel vulnerable and whatever, and I just kind of held myself and was just kind of like, it's just the energy, it's just how the energy feels, it's just how the energy feels. Like, you don't need to go into your mind, you don't need to go into your emotions, you don't need to go into any stories about why you're feeling this way. This is just how the energy feels when it's shifting in frequencies. So just breathe through it, hang in there, love yourself, like go to bed early, just don't try to figure anything out, just kind of like let it do what it needs to do for you and trust it, trust it. And then the next day I had that ecstasy and I had that clear viewing. So last night was like a whole other one. I'm like, really, we're doing another one? Oh my God. But it was like I'm getting chills. It was like way bigger, where this time it wasn't just like, oh, I feel funny, breathe through that. It was like, okay, now we feel demons. Now we feel demons and they're really scary. And, my demons are scary and my inner blocks and, however we want to look at it, right? But the thing is, it's just energy. It's just energy. And so the energy, the frequency of the dark and the purge feels gross. It can feel gross. It can feel scary. It can feel terrifying. It can feel like, that woman creeping over the thing. Like, that's literally the visual presentation of how the energy felt. But to just know that is what thresholds feel like. That's sometimes how thresholds feel like. When you're going over a really, really big one, that's what it's going to feel like. And to like be afraid, sure, like you can't not be afraid. And that's how I was when I went through that for 6 weeks. Eventually I got to this point where I was like, okay, I'm terrified, but and I really don't like this energy. I really don't like your energy, but you're not going away, and I need to like hang out with you until the gears click and whatever needs to alchemizes, and I'm just gonna like be okay with this uncomfortability, and as I started to do that, and as I started getting excited about it, having gratitude for it, then it integrated and it shifted, and I haven't really had it that bad. Like, even last night wasn't that bad because I understand it, I understand it, and I was like, oh gosh, here's this again, and so it was just kind of like I couldn't get it to go away, I couldn't get it to go away. I couldn't get the energy or the feeling or the sensations to go away, but I could accept it and embrace it and actually be grateful for it, knowing that it was a sign that I was moving through something within myself that was really stuck, and moving through something for humanity. Because if even just one of us moves through these thresholds, then it's like we clear a path for others. So I knew I was doing big work. And so I was sleeping in my 1 hour intervals and being really happy for that 1 hour instead of 15 seconds. And then, and then kind of like waking up. And so it was like really rough. It was a really rough night, and I can't believe that I'm on here talking so fast, like doing a reading, but I just was really clear when I was like meditating this morning that I needed to come on and talk about this. So I don't know that I was able to, how long did I talk for? 19 minutes. Yeah. I don't know that I was able to like land it. I didn't really know how to like get into that point. So I might've given like a lot of details in my intro coming into it, but basically that's the point that I'm trying to make, is like, so just kind of like hanging in there, like even when the energies get really, really scary, even when they get creepy. And I know some people actually see things, clairvoyant, you'll actually see things in your room. Like, I'll feel them, and I'll hear them, and stuff like that. But I don't want to see them, but just to know that, like, as you get more sensitive, and obviously this isn't going to apply to everybody at this time, but it might at a later time apply to you, and you might be going through this kind of thing already, where you're having these night terrors, or you're having these weird energies, and you don't know what's going on, or maybe you're hearing things, or maybe you're seeing things, and like you're not going crazy, you're not schizophrenic, it's just you're sensitive, and you're tuned in, and you're awakening, and you're moving through thresholds that other people are scared to move through. And maybe even if you are somebody that's scared to move through, but you've also been like praying and intending to wanting to like bust out into like more of your more of this, more of your abilities. You want to activate your DNA. You want to bring in your dormant codes. You want to live through your higher self. You want to be higher self guided. But it's like, in order to do that, we do have to kind of like sit with, because we sit with uncomfortable emotions. We've learned to like, just sit with it all and breathe through it. You don't have to go into the story. Just like, let it be there, and it'll pass really quickly. And it's the same thing with these, when you're interfacing with, like energies in the nighttime or energies in the day, where it's literally something that's around you. And that's what Ermi and I are always reminding each other. It's not that anything's really going on. It's just how the energy is right now. And to just know that it's all for you, and to know that it is you literally like walking through a wall. It's like you're walking through a wall. And when you walk through that wall, it's like the electrons are different, the frequency's different, everything's different, that's like actually a really good visual, where it's like you're walking through a wall into like another dimension, and it's like everything starts to hum. Maybe you literally feel like I was before, like your body's vibrating, or maybe you just feel really weird. Maybe you feel dizzy. Maybe you get really anxious, or whatever it is. It's just like, try to remind yourself that like you're literally walking through into a higher frequency, and you have to cross that fear threshold in order to get there. But you want to, we want to raise in our frequency. And if we're gonna survive some of the like weird stuff that's going on in this realm, some of the frequencies that are being thrown at us that aren't natural, or it's like the whole world is kind of polluted, and and it's like just all the different things that I'm not going to get into, but I know a lot of you know what I'm talking about. It's like, we have to allow our vibrations to raise where we're out of reach of all of that, where we're out of reach, and we're also out of reach of the lower realm. So like, I'll often refer to those night terrors, or those like weird energies that we feel as the goblins at the gate. They're like, wait, no, don't go further. Don't get out of bandwidth of because we need to feed on you. We still need to feed on your fear, and feed on your anger, and feed on your judgment. So if you come into this higher consciousness, and you come into this unity consciousness, then we have nothing. And if we have nothing, if we can't feed off anyone, then we're not going to be able to sustain. And it's like, that's the point, that's the point. And I know that's kind of viewing things in a dualistic way, but when you're in a dualistic frequency, that is the game. That is how it is. It's only once you expand into unity that then you don't have to worry about it anymore, because you're out of bandwidth. But it's like, that's where we need to go, and in order to get there, we have to move through these fear thresholds. Okay, but just remembering that when you start to feel weird, however that presents for you, whether it presents, again, just to repeat myself, as feeling, being under psychic attack, or weird things in your body, or your mind that won't stop, or, compulsive thoughts, or fears, weird fears, phobias, whatever it is, or just like, just anxiety, or like this terror where you want to move in a certain direction, but you literally can't, because it's like, there's just like, something in your body, and it's like, yes, that's the fear threshold. That's what we all need to be moving through, however that presents for you, and to just get excited about it and be like, oh my God, like right on the other side of this wall, this fear threshold that I literally want to turn away from, is my heaven on earth timeline, is my desires, is my higher frequency living, is my higher self guided flow state. Okay. And so I often talk about these things in the readings, and I'm often talking about the other side and blah, 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 but it's like, because I just came out of this last night, it's like I wanted to talk about what does that look like to actually like push through those barriers, and the main key, the key to having it move quickly, rather than one having to turn around, but then it keeps coming, like you'll turn around, but then it'll keep coming, and then you'll push it away and it'll keep coming, and you can stay on, like dancing on the edge for, like I danced on that edge for, like months and months and months. I got out of the night terrors, but I still danced on that edge until finally, I surrendered to that level. I surrendered to that threshold, but now there's another one, and there's another one, but eventually we get good at it, and we're like, okay, I feel vulnerable, I feel lost, I feel scared, however it presents for you, but this is my indicator that I'm crossing through something, I'm crossing through something, and to allow it to have gratitude. So that's what I was going to say. You know, the way to have it go faster is to just have gratitude and excitement. And even if you can't feel the gratitude and excitement because you're in too much terror, you're in too much like, you know, like this kind of thing, especially if it's in the middle of the night, you haven't slept for a couple of nights in a row, you know, just to have that like reminder at least, or that mantra of like, I know this is a good thing for me. You know, I know this is bringing me into my next level. This is bringing me closer to being able to live in that heightened, you know, higher way that I've like sensed and been sniffing out since I was a child, or that I used to live in as a child, or however that is for you, or that, you know, I feel guided towards, or whatever. It's like, this is how I get through, and I'm so grateful for this, and I know that this will pass, and it will in fact pass tomorrow, you know, because when we don't resist it and we don't fear, it can pass really quickly. Just like when we have an emotion, you know, we're really, really sad and we avoid it for, you know, weeks or months, and we stuff it and stuff, and finally we sit down and have that good cry, and then boom, it's gone. 30 seconds, you know. Sometimes we can cry for just 5 seconds and we're on the other side, you know. Emotions are fucking portals. They're portals into expansion, you know. And so are energies, you know, energies that disturb us, that we don't like. Anything that we don't like is a portal. It's a portal, and when we can see it like that, and we can remember that and we can sit with it, and then we can continue to expand, and we can expand faster, and we can expand gracefully, and we can expand with more and more joy, and we can also carve ways through the ethers for others and make it easier for others to do that. So I didn't pull any cards. I just had these two pop out, and I'm at 26 minutes, but I am going to pull one card from my new deck because I haven't used it much yet in these readings, and I want to see which ones we get because I just want to show them to you. So, okay. We get the Seven of Wands. Oh, that's really cool. This is kind of like the card that I'll often equate to like our original dream, you know, our original dream that we came in with. And it's like we, you know, it can be a card of defense, but it's like we're defending our that trajectory, you know. It's like we're going to go the whole way. We're not going to let anything stop us. We're not going to let anything stop us. We're going to be really brave, and we're going to move through those fear thresholds. Look, he's like on top. He's on a higher level. He's up on top. And here are the things that are like, you know, his fears, and, you know, the lower energies that are trying to scare you so they can feed off you and whatever. And it's like he's you know, he's up above. He's in a little bit of a battle, but the point is that he's in this higher stance. He's in this higher stance, and it's that higher stance, it's that higher perspective, it's that gratitude. You know, gratitude is a really, really, really high frequency. So it raises you above where you can go through. You can, you know, all he has to do then, you know, once he kind of like holds steady, is he just, you know, turns around and goes through this upper level, goes through into this other realm. So then the Two of Swords, you know, this is kind of the energy that we're in those moments where, you know, it's like you can't see and everything feels really dark and you don't know what's going on, but you just kind of have to trust. You kind of have to trust that, you know, there's all this cosmic energy around here, and, you know, I think there's 2 suns, or no, that's her hair. Actually, that's her hair, but it looked like 2 suns to me, so I'm just going to go with that too. Look, there's like 2 suns rising. Here's the moon, but it's just this kind of like galactic energy. There's, what is that? There's some, I really need some reader glasses for this deck. There's just so much in it. What is that? Oh, it's a chair. Oh my God. I thought it was rams. I was like, why are there rams in the water with her? The 2 rams in the sun. But no, is she sitting in a chair? Which is interesting because she's kind of presenting like a queen energy, because the Two of Swords is usually, you know, she's on the beach, and she, you know, there might be some birds and she's trying to like figure out how to do it, you know, but that is the energy of the Two of Swords as well. It's like you're using your intuition to navigate, you're using your intuition, but here she's sitting on a throne in the water. It's like she, you know, and that's kind of what I was talking about. It's just like knowing what this is, you can just sit down, you can sit in your sovereignty, and you can know this is all for you. You know, and you can have your boundaries. You can kind of have your boundaries with your own panic, you know, with your own kind of like fear. You know, you can have those boundaries. It's hard to shift into the cards once I was just like talking freely from my own thing. Now I'm like translating it through the cards. But anyway, yeah, I just feel like these two kind of they go along with what I was saying, where it's like, you know, just kind of like allowing your higher perspective, allowing that higher perspective, and allowing, like her, she's blindfolded, you can't see, it doesn't feel good, but knowing that this is all held, you know, knowing that that on the other side of this, you are going to be through this threshold, you know. So yeah, the cards aren't really working for me right now, shifting gears like that. So I'm just going to stop with that. But yeah, I think you get the point. So I'm not sure if I'm going to post this or not. But I really did. I feel like I could have talked about that in a much better way. But I'm going to go back and listen and see if it came through in a way where I feel like I was like really transmitting the message and the encouragement that I was intending to bring forth, and the importance of having the courage, but also, yeah, just the perspective to move through those things so that we can expand and we can evolve, and that we can do this together. We can keep pace with it, because these energies are really pushing us to do this. They're really pushing us, like with the stuff that was coming through with like the blue light that was her name Nancy. I should have looked it up. I wasn't sure if I was going to bring that up today, but it did come up. But with Pam Gregory, if you want to learn more about that, it's really quite interesting, because apparently there are 4 times actually in November. The first one was November 4th, and so the first time it happened in 2019, it comes through the pyramids. So it came through in China, and then the second one was in 2021, November 19th. It came through in Mexico, and now it's coming through 3 times this November in Arizona, and it's through these pyramids. But it's like, well, there are no pyramids in Arizona, but there are these mesa tops that were pyramids, which I didn't know, and this woman didn't know, and but apparently yes. And so the first installation came through on the 4th, and it was the biggest one. So then there's another one on November 18th and another one on November 25th. So this being a really big month, and so I'm going into that because it's like these energies are supporting us, but they can cause disruptions, and it's getting to the point where it's like we can't really turn around anymore. We can't really turn away. We kind of have to like learn how to go through it. We have to have the courage, and it can be pretty gnarly. It can be pretty terrifying depending on how much we have in our kosh or in our history, how much trauma, how much we've taken on to clear. It can be pretty intense. So I hope that what I shared from my own experience and my own realizations was and is helpful to you. If you are feeling these energies, or if you do start to feel them later on, that kind of dark night of the soul, night terror, psychic attack, however, fear threshold, whatever words we want to use, just remembering and knowing that it's the way. We have to embrace the dark. We have to open to the dark. We can't run from it. We can't pathologize it. We can't blame it. We can be like, I don't like your energy. You have like the worst vibe ever. I so much prefer to be around, but we can bring that energy in through gratitude and excitement, even if we can't conjure it. It's not going to make it go away. We got to hang with them. We got to hang with that energy, and we have to let it have its place at the table. But then, we're going to have a level of expansion that takes us much further. So anyway, I hope that was helpful, and thank you for listening. And I'm going to use this little thing that my dad gave me, and I'm going to hope that it works. So I'm not just like sitting here staring. So, all right, much love to you all, and hang in there if these times are hitting you hard. And yeah, coming up to 11/11, it's like, okay, that's the other thing. And then I wanted to say is that it's like, that's the portal, that's the portal that we're walking through, right? So here's, as we're walking through that, as we're, not only are these energies supporting us, but we're also coming into this portal energy, which is also supporting us, but also pushing us, also kind of like, like it's time, it's time. And so, yeah, so it's like we're kind of like clearing out, we're moving through. And I feel like after the 11th, after we move through this portal, is going to be like a completely different energy. So I'm so excited to see where we're at. I mean, the energy might change again, just like in another day. But yeah, I'd love to hear. I'd actually love to hear, if I haven't really talked with anybody about this yet, except for my daughter. But I'd love to hear if you're going through something similar, if you're feeling these thresholds, if you're feeling that kind of like wonky, I don't know where I am energy, if you feel something coming. I think there might be somebody at my door, so I'm going to go now. But anyway, I'd love to hear about it. Okay, thank you for listening. Bye.